for construction. Flooded gravel pits are becoming second-chance habitats for wildlife. Plants and animals can recolonize these areas and create new homes here. As part of a reintroduction program, pond turtles bred in large numbers in the Rhine Valley. They were then released into former branches of the Rhine where they still live today. This shows us that it is possible to restore habitats and species can recover if we make an effort. The springs, the pools, the marshes, and the entire river system in the Upper Rhine Valley are a reminder of the importance of protecting and restoring our natural environment. Did you know that our planet is shaped like a sphere? I mean, it's not a cube or a pyramid or anything else. It's a sphere, and there's a reason for that. Can you name that reason? Still thinking, well, here's a hint. It's all around you right now. In fact, if you were to leave your house right now and walk toward any direction, odds are pretty good you would end up knee-deep in it within about a mile or so. Talking, of course, about the sea. The ocean, because it covers more than 70% of Earth's surface, is the reason why our planet is a sphere. But the sea does a lot more than just define our planet's shape. It also drives our climate and weather patterns, produces most of the oxygen we breathe, and is the reason why we have monsoons, currents, and even some types of storms. The sea is also a major part of the water cycle and provides us with food, energy, and other resources. So let's dive into how the sea shapes our planet. Hey there, welcome to this channel. The sea does a lot for us, but one of the biggest things it does is produce oxygen. Did you know that phytoplankton, which are tiny plants that live in the sea, produce about half of the oxygen we breathe? That's because when they perform photosynthesis, they release oxygen as a byproduct. And since there's so much sea on our planet, that means there's a lot of phytoplankton, which in turn means that our oceans produce a lot of oxygen. But speaking of the sea's role in producing things, you can also thank it for giving us water, or more specifically, for giving us rain and snow. That's because the sea plays a big role in the water cycle. When the sun shines on the sea, it evaporates some of the water, turning it into vapor. That vapor then forms clouds, which can then get so heavy that the water falls back down to Earth in the form of precipitation. And depending on how cold it is, that precipitation can be in the form of rain, snow, sleet, or hail. This process is called the water cycle, and it wouldn't be possible without the sea. Now, the sea doesn't just give us water, it also gives us a lot of weather. The currents in the sea help to regulate our planet's climate. For example, the Gulf Stream is a current that carries heat from the Gulf of Mexico up to Europe, which helps to keep the continent warmer than it would be otherwise. Without this current, Europe would likely be a lot colder and have a very different climate. Speaking of currents, you can also thank the sea for some of the storms we experience. Storms get their energy from temperature and pressure differences in the air. And one of the biggest temperature differences on our planet is between the land and the sea. As you probably know, land heats up and cools down much faster than the sea does. So when a storm comes along and starts to form, the sea provides the energy it needs to get started. Once a storm starts to form over the sea, it sucks up warm water vapor from the surface. As the vapor rises, it cools, which forms clouds and also causes even more vapor to get sucked up, and it gets stronger and stronger until, bam, hurricane. The sea is also responsible for some other weather phenomena, like monsoons. Monsoons are seasonal wind patterns that cause heavy rainfall in certain regions. They happen because of the temperature difference between land and sea. During the summer, the land heats up much faster than the sea does. So the air over the land rises, and cooler air from the sea rushes in to take its place. When the air reaches the land, it cools, which forms clouds and causes even more rain. Oh, we haven't even mentioned what the sea does for us. Not only is it home to a lot of the oxygen we need to breathe, but it also gives us food, energy, and other resources. For example, the sea is a major source of protein for billions of people. What's really strange is that despite these extreme conditions, life still exists down there. In the Mariana Trench, you can find bizarre fish with huge mouths and sharp teeth like the anglerfish, which has a glowing lure that it uses to attract prey in the darkness. It dangles this lure in front of small fish, and when they get close enough, anglerfish gobble them up. But the anglerfish isn't the only strange creature lurking in the deep sea. There are also giant squid with massive eyes that can spot prey from far away. They have such big eyes because light is so scarce down there that even the tiniest glimmer can help them find something to eat. But the deep sea is mostly filled with animals that can produce their own light. Bioluminescence, as it's called, isn't just pretty to look at. It's actually a useful tool for survival. Some animals use it to attract mates, while others use it to lure prey or to confuse predators. For example, the hatchetfish has a light under its chin that helps it blend in with the faint light filtering down from above. This way, predators can't see their silhouettes, and they're less likely to be eaten. But the deep sea isn't just full of weird animals, it's also full of weird rocks. Hydrothermal vents, as they're called, are areas where superheated water comes out of the ocean floor. They're usually found near volcanically active areas, and they can reach temperatures of over 400 degrees Celsius. That's hot enough to kill most living things. Yet some animals have figured out how to not only survive in these extreme conditions, but thrive. For example, giant tube worms have been found growing around hydrothermal vents. These worms don't need sunlight or even mouths to survive. Instead, they have bacteria living inside of them that convert chemicals from the vent into energy. Exploring this extreme environment hasn't been easy, but thanks to technological advances, we've been able to learn more about the deep sea than ever before. The first manned submarine was invented in the 16th century, but it wasn't until the 20th century that we started exploring the deep sea. Today, scientists use a variety of submersibles to explore the deep sea, including remotely operated vehicles or ROVs. An ROV is basically a robot that can be controlled from the surface. It has cameras and lights to help scientists see in the darkness and robotic arms that can collect samples. One of the most famous ROVs is named Deep Sea Challenger. It was used by filmmaker James Cameron to make a record-breaking dive to the bottom of the Mariana Trench in 2012. So why do we even bother exploring the deep sea? It might seem like a vast, dark, and dangerous place, but it's also incredibly beautiful and mysterious. We've only scratched the surface of what's down there.
So this is how you can actually
and who knows what other strange and wonderful things we might find. Maybe we'll discover new species of animals, or even new forms of life. Or maybe we'll find evidence of ancient shipwrecks or lost cities. So much in the oceans. In the water, there is little oxygen. It's hard to get food and sunlight can't penetrate very far, making photosynthesis impossible for most organisms. But over the past 600 million years, some animals have overcome these challenges and have thrived in the water. So let's take a moment to learn about some of the animals that call the ocean home. Welcome to life on the ocean's edge. So there are obviously a lot of different kinds of sea animals. There are fish, like salmon and clownfish, mammals like dolphins and whales, reptiles like turtles, and even invertebrates like jellyfish. In fact, scientists estimate that there could be as many as 200,000 different kinds of sea animals. To put that number in perspective, there are only about 8,700 known kinds of land vertebrates. And just like on land, sea animals tend to live in groups. You've probably heard of schools of fish, but did you know that some animals like crabs and lobsters tend to live in what's called a guild? A whale pod might contain hundreds of individuals, and a crab guild can contain dozens. Jellyfish, on the other hand, tend to congregate in what are known as blooms, which can sometimes cover the surface of the ocean like a floating purple carpet. One of the reasons sea animals can live in groups is because they need each other to survive. Take coral reefs, for example. While they may look like rocks, corals are actually made up of tiny animals called polyps. These polyps live together in massive colonies, connected to each other by a structure made of calcium carbonate. The polyps capture plankton and other small floating organisms with their stinging cells and use them as food. In fact, coral reefs are kind of like underwater cities, teeming with thousands of different kinds of sea animals. Not only do these sea animals have to compete with each other for food, but they also have to contend with predators. Fish, like sharks and whales, eat smaller sea animals and even